But essentially, this is someone who was, without knowing it, triggering him and his abandonment or fear of failure, something like that. Something was triggered in a major way that morning from a feminine, important figure in his life. We have limitation as power. Oh, limitation as power. He felt limited. Somebody was affecting his mind in some deep way. With the Five of Wands, I'm feeling like the home environment of this person is not great. I'm not saying he necessarily, let me not say home. The family dynamic is not great for this person. Is that an excuse for this? No. I'm just saying there is definitely problems within the dynamic of this person's family. However, it doesn't look like that on the outside. On the outside, cool, calm, and collected. We are family. On the inside, emotional avoidance, probably crossing the line in the way that they speak to one another when they're agitated, but not in the sight of other people. If this is a mom and dad, if the parents are still together, the mom will be very the one to speak often in public if it's about the family. The dad will stay more quiet when it comes to family information. Even though they seem happy, the dad will quiet up when spoken to about family. Not that he'll be like, oh, family, no thanks. But like he won't, his personality will come down. Like either the literal volume of his voice or just the way he's projecting himself. It's going to tone down whenever family is talked about. And the mom will kind of stay at her baseline, maybe a little above, to kind of make up for knowing that there's actual like emotional avoidance that's been affecting her children and child or children, I don't know, and children just naturally came out, so I'm not sure what that means, but affecting her family in a negative way. And then you start to manifest that, so everything bad happens. It was like that for him that day. It was like instant manifestation of a negative mindset that just kept repeating over and over in different ways. Looking for someone to soothe a fire that had been lit inside of him. And it's almost like he knew that there was this fire and he was trying to get someone to help him put it out without realizing that that's what they were doing, and nobody was willing to do that for him. I don't think it's for no reason. I think he just doesn't have relationships with depth. And this was a moment that he felt he needed depth from a relationship. Not like a romantic, like a friendship, anything, anyone. But he didn't have anyone that had that depth to be able to make him, it was like he would have needed to show a certain amount of vulnerability to someone to get the help that he was looking to get. And he didn't have anyone that, either that was normal to do with or that was willing to listen at that time. He just kept hitting dead end after dead end after dead end. And each time he hit the dead end, it was like, oh my God. But that trigger for the killer was the fact that they were already triggered by a similar experience in a very daunting way earlier in the day from a mother figure and friends. And it was like, this was not something that almost like they were like, the universe won't do that to me. after everything, they're, you know, maybe it's almost like maybe they were thinking, oh, maybe this was happening, so it pushes me to go out and get a new connection or lean on somebody new. I don't think it was really that, but it could have been something along those lines. But it was like they were not thinking that another bad thing could happen, and it happened in the exact same way that it happened with the feminine figure earlier. He was trying to calm himself down, but there was someone in his ear that was either hyping it up or like let's say he was talking to someone. There's another party involved in this along the way. Somebody knows something, they're not coming forward, and there's some kind of outside, like outside to the killer, someone else's energy pushed him to feel like he was right in being very worked up about this. From a third party. I don't know if this means 3 people or a third party. I'm feeling more like it's a third party that kind of was like the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, for his psyche. That it was like almost like he was like questioning himself, like, oh, I know I'm not in the right state of mind, so should I really be trusting my own thoughts that are telling me to do this right now? And then somebody else said something, and he was like, oh, you know what? I am right. I am owed this. I'm owed this. Life owes me this. What if the matter? Slow down to relax. I almost feel like that whatever that third person, that outside third party, whatever they said to him, he took it as the universe telling him that it'd be a good idea to do what he was thinking about doing in terms of going in the house. This part's not going to be great to hear if you are someone who is highly emotionally invested in this case. If you are a family member or friend of one of the victims, maybe it's a good idea to kind of skip ahead about 30 seconds, starting in 5, 4, 3. Go ahead and skip now if you don't want to hear this part 2. And again, this is my opinion. I believe the killer took a body part internally from his main target. I don't know where Kaylee's big wound was, but there's something missing from in there. Live a less guarded life. It was like he wasn't going to hold back anymore. Like, okay, I'm just gonna say it. That card is giving the energy to me that if this case goes cold, this person is likely to do this again. I'm not saying that to be a fearmonger. I'm just telling you what I'm getting with the cards, and that's what I'm getting. A summary of after the murders. We have the Fool and happy life, live a less guarded life. Almost like I don't know another way to put this, but like the saying, live like you're dying, like when you find out something's wrong and you like live like you're dying. I feel like that's the mindset of the killer now, because it's like, oh, I could get caught at any moment. So if I can get far enough past this, I might get caught someday anyway. So I might as well just keep not making the best decisions. Maybe not necessarily planning on killing again, although I do feel like he got should I say it? I'm just gonna say it. I feel like he be very careful with my words here because I don't want to offend anyone who may be watching that is a family member or something. I feel like the wounds on the main target was him imagining that that was his own mother or whoever that Empress figure is. Again, it could be an aunt, sister, whatever. I'm really feeling mother, but I really think that Ethan and Xana were in his way and likely became aware of him or something like that, and that's why they were victimized as well. 3, 2, 1. If you're gonna skip now. I believe that is why he took something, because it was, again, his psyche doing, especially in a state of psychosis, he was taking something. It's that feeling of owing or being owed. That's how he is being shown how to handle certain situations or emotions. So that's what he's replicating. Sorry, my brain is starting to go flat here. Kaylee was the target. If you are a person who's been skipping, when I say skip up to this point, skip about 30 seconds, please. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kaylee was the target, and he definitely has taken piece of her as a trophy. There's something that I really want to say, and I just really don't want to offend anyone or hurt any feelings, but I'm starting to get teary-eyed when I said that, so that's usually a cue that I'm supposed to say it. Oh my gosh. The fire from my dream. I saw a fire in my dream. Yeah, I'm getting really teary. I'm supposed to say this. In my dream, I saw a bonfire. If you're a person that's been skipping, skip until you see me do this. When I do this, you can come back. Okay? Skip now. In my dream, I saw a bonfire, and it was burning clothing. And I said, I don't know what that means yet. Maybe it'll come out in the reading. Well, it just came out in the very end of the reading. Again, this is my opinion. I believe that he took piece of his main target, which was Kaylee. And when he went somewhere to dispose of his clothing, God, I don't know how to say this. I'm trying to say this in a way that's not as disturbing as it feels like it's going to be to say. So I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm just trying to not say it directly. So uncomfortable right now, in case you can't tell. Okay. I believe that he burnt his clothing from that night, and God, I can't get it to come out of my mouth. I'm gonna try and draw it, but I don't think that's a good idea. Sorry, give me a second. I feel like I'm gonna burst out crying when I say this. Okay, I'm gonna do it now. I believe that he burned his clothes that night and had a ingest it, like use the fire to heat up what he had taken. That's all I'm gonna say. I think you understand when I really don't want to push it too far. That's what I'm gonna say. I did not pull clarifiers for these two cards, so now that I'm profusely shaking, let's do that. I also am feeling, God, I'm like sweating and shaking. I'm feeling like there's a body of water involved. I'm feeling like this pile of burning, like burning his clothes, and that is near a body of water. I don't know if maybe he washed off in that body of water, like his body from the blood. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. He washed off in the water. There's a body of water, and then there's like a place that's secluded that he knows of, or maybe somebody owns. He has access to, and he knew that nobody else would be there. There's a body of water, and then there's a place where his clothes were burned, right next to the body of water. He washed off in that body of water after the murders. They're looking into a specific person, I believe. And I believe that because they are now focused likely on the right person, they are looking at the right person, and they are trying to piece out the person's journey from point A to point B, C, and then D. I believe that they know that this person got on a highway, and that's why they're trying to find footage from the town or towns that this person traveled through before they got onto said highway, because then they can see which direction the person got onto the highway. Yeah, Nine of Wands is like, keep pushing because you're right there. They're right, they're onto something. They're trying to essentially establish, I believe they're trying to do two things. One, establish a play-by-play of the person's travel that points, that connects them to a certain location. So the picture this is painting to me is that murdering 4 people was not the initial plan. Heading in the right direction finally. It does feel like there's been a shift in their energy that's heading in the right direction. Maybe not literally the right direction, like maybe not physically, they're not heading to where the weapon is, that's what I'm saying, but they're making progress in finding out where this person could have gone with said weapon I do feel like the person has a connection to a certain place, and if they would have went from Moscow in the direction of that place, I feel as though the police would have put it together earlier. Why am I feeling like they... Hold on. I think I just got something. Devil in reverse. King of Cups in reverse. I'm almost feeling like the killer left their cell phone in one of those locations so that the phone couldn't be tracked when they went up. And that's why they would need actual video footage of the person, because their phone doesn't put them in the location, because their phone was left behind in Troy. This person definitely turned their feelings off. Like their father figure, more than likely. I mean, the mother is emotionally avoidant, but I believe the person's father is more like emotionally shut off. And during this time when he was doing all the cleanup, he embodied that energy of his father. Oh, the world. Snake wrapped around an egg. The person was thinking ahead prior to going where they went to clean up. And what they were thinking of is, how can I have it so that I can get from here to there being seen as little as possible? That person then drove to the location, cleaned up, disposed of, or hid the weapon. The police may be able to find video footage at a gas station. It would be in the morning of the November 14th, because they have it on the 13th. So this would be into the 14th. It would be early in the morning. This car would be... The driver would be acting normal but rushed, because they had to get back to the area as soon as possible. There's a friend. I do believe that the killer's family knows that it's them. I also believe that there's a friend that covered for the person in some way. The person who did this, even though they are not necessarily remorseful, even though they have that rage inside of them, that fire that is like a statewide forest fire that used to be a bonfire, but now it's like way out of control. Regardless of that, for some reason, the killer feels like part of them died that night as well. It could be, you know, a hopeful future. It could be hope of inner peace ever happening. I'm feeling more, it's like, for some reason, I'm feeling like that phone was hidden somewhere so that the person couldn't be tracked. And I believe that that's why the police are having some degree of trouble in terms of getting enough proof to get a definite conviction, because there's things about the there's certain elements that point to reasonable doubt, such as if your phone's in one place, but you're in another, but in court, my phone didn't ping there. My phone pinged in this town. How, you know, how my phone pinged there? How would I be there if my phone pinged there? That's reasonable doubt. Let me go, you know? From the police's perspective, believe it or not, I don't know if DNA is going to be as helpful as one would have believed it could have been in the beginning of this case. I think there were certain precautions taken, as well as contamination of the crime scene, because there was other people through it before it could be contained. If not the weapon itself, then they're trying to prove that this person was not where their phone was pinging. This person wasn't here where their phone was. They were somewhere else, but they left their phone there. And then they're trying to get some kind of proof of where they went after that. Because if they can connect the person in place B, but their phone is in place A, then that kind of squashes that whole reasonable doubt, because it's like, okay, well, you obviously weren't with your phone, so that is irrelevant at that point if they can prove that the phone is in one place and the person was in another. This crime may be solved by DNA testing or other scientific methods. Cell phone records may provide important clues. Two things are sticking out to me about this card. Well, three things. One is the eyes. The eyes are like possessed. This person was not possessed. I'm not saying that, but this person was after the murders. This person was in a deep psychotic episode. During too, but I'm not trying to make it seem like it wasn't their decision, and it wasn't a psychotic break, it was rage. But afterwards, there was a psychotic break. Two, how there's like things up in the air here. In my dream video, I said that there was 3 men on a boat throwing what looked like paper one way, and then they went the other way. Throwing paper, threw it one way, went the other way. That knife's in a body of water. So if the knife's in a body of water, sitting there for some time, it's not going to have the DNA evidence on it. So the only way to connect the person to the knife, I mean, maybe it will, I don't really know, but the only way to connect the person to the knife in a solid way would be to get proof that that person was not with their phone, and that person, his mood afterwards was, all right, well, I burned all the evidence. The evidence is gone. The justice scale here is really making me think that the person who did this, sometime within that it would be later that day on the 14th, had some kind of conversation with someone about, we got to find out who did this. We got to find out who did this. We got to find out who did this. We got to know. We can't. Somebody's got to know something. We got to find out who did this. We got to get justice. Multiple people were involved in this crime. The people have their feet all chained together. They're zeroing in on who's covering up for the murder. That's what this is. Seven of Wands would be like if someone lied to the police and then were questioned again and they were like, no, that's the truth. That's the truth. That's like if the police were like, all right, we're going to give you one more chance to tell us if you saw this person at your house on this night. Their phone pinged here, or we saw them come here. But did you see them? Were you with them? Something is telling me that this is implying that there's 4 people that know something. I believe 2 are the parents. 1 is that friend or sibling that knows something. And then the other is that friend or whomever that they hid the phone. Cops are making a move soon. They're either going to start putting direct pressure on the people that they think are lying. Like, instead of being like, oh, so you sure this? Are you sure that? It's going to switch to more of, all right, cut the shit. We know you know something. It's like they reached a point where they have no other option. And it's like, in the beginning, they knew that there was some evidence that would be or could be viewed as reasonable doubt. So they didn't want to push people too hard until they had something that could kind of override that doubt, especially in terms of court. But I do feel as though someone's either being pressured already or is going to be pressured very shortly in terms of something that they know from that night. Something that they had previously possibly lied about but didn't realize how big of a role their lie would play. Some resentment, like a past resentment or an ongoing battle that the knife's handler was going through. Like, that's how this day. Something internally within the killer was focused on a past resentment or a building resentment, and internally he was like, this is what I have to do. This is what I feel is right. I have to do, what's next? 6 of Wands. Yeah. Like I have to, all the pain that the killer was keeping inside, that was what was telling him that he had to do something. Killer, because of a past resentment that has something to do with family and lack of family support. That was brewing in his mind, and that was what initially caused him to think, I'm gonna do something not right with this knife. And it was like playing the victim and then like hyping yourself up in that victim mentality. So like, I'm the victim. Yeah, I'm the victim. I'm the victim. I'm the victim. Like, if the maybe expect. So if this person doesn't have a great relationship with their mother or father, and they live in a college town, and now parents' weekend, all the parents are coming down to see their children, that could have been a trigger. And this knife saw more than one person that day. This knife encountered more than just the killer during the general time frame of the murders. It could have been before. Well, it has to be before, because this is going to be 9 of... This person tried to fight against the thoughts in their mind, tried to fight it. It was a looping. During this time, so the 10 of Pentacles is when the killer gets the knife, has the knife, takes it out of the trunk, takes it out wherever it was, and now has the knife and is kind of planning this in their head. And then the 7 of Wands is when they're like back and forth, should I do it, should I not, should I do it, should I not? And that's when they're like, you know what, I can't, I have to do something. I have to do this, or I have to go in there for whatever reason was in their mind. And then the 3 of Cups, there's somebody else encountered the killer with this knife. I'm not saying it was an accomplice per se. And it may have been that he had it concealed at that time, but there is a third party. Okay, essentially what I'm saying is the killer had the knife on him, either visible or hidden, like concealed in a shirt or pants or pockets. I know it's a big knife, so maybe in a shirt or something, or maybe he was just holding it. I don't know, but from the knife's perspective, while the killer had the knife in their hand or possession, he encountered a friend or someone that he was talking to like a friend. Prior to the murders. I don't know how much of a role that other person played. And again, they may have not even been able to see the knife. It may have just been that he had it in the pocket and was talking to someone else with it in his pocket, and that's what we're seeing here. But was he expecting 4 people? No. But so he, after taking the weapon out of the car or wherever it was and saying, okay, I'm going to bring this just in case, or I'm going to bring it so I can kill him, whichever one it was at that point in his mind, while he had that weapon on him, he spoke to someone else before committing the murders. Something that happened in there was not in their original plan. I believe that 2 of those people were not in the original plan and either we're not supposed to be there, or we're not supposed to be able to be awake, or not supposed to be awake. But the killer left very not happy with how things had to go down, while still not feeling remorseful, because he brought the knife. He knew that he would either definitely or possibly or probably be using it if he's bringing it to the house, because if someone sees you with that kind of knife, by that point it's obvious what your intentions are. But the 9 of Cups, he felt disappointed in how things had happened, and he killed the people and got away with it. He definitely, to this point, he definitely got a sick pleasure out of it. What could make him feel unhappy with it if more people got involved in it than he originally intended? If he's going in there for 1 or 2, and those other 2 people are kind of wrong place, wrong time, not supposed to be awake, not supposed to see him there. But that knife is in water. So whatever was being talked about was not like a situation between Adam and Kaylee or Maddie. There was definitely a third party involved. So they were talking about someone else, or a situation involving someone else. Like Adam was not a main factor in whatever the situation was that they were talking about, more like a bystander. Balance in reverse and communicate in reverse. This is something that, so Maddie told Adam, so whatever Maddie told Adam is something that was about somebody else and something that Maddie had not talked to that somebody else about. So like whoever the conversation was referencing, Maddie had not had a conversation with that person about whatever it was that she was talking to Adam about at this time. It's likely that she was kind of waiting for the right moment to talk to the other person about this, whoever was on the receiving end of this, who this conversation was about. Kind of like maybe got close to talking about it, or just was waiting for the right moment, or was waiting for the last minute, it could be. But she felt like her message wasn't going to be well received by the other person. So it's almost like balance in reverse, communicate in reverse. It's almost like, you know, like when you say something to somebody so that they say something to somebody else, but you're not like, hey, tell them this, but like you say something so that they perhaps say to the other person, oh, I saw so-and-so and they mentioned this, and then it gets them to come talk to you. That's what this was. It was like kind of planning ahead, like, oh, if I say this to Adam, he'll go and say something to the other. Almost like she wanted to tell somebody something, but knew it wasn't going to go well. So she was having somebody else break the ice, even if that didn't really pan out well. Yeah, it's like she was back and forth in her mind. Should I say it? Should I not? How should I say it? When should I say it? And she was just like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to talk to this person instead, because I know that they'll be the one to kind of get the ball rolling and say something to bring about the possibility or potential for a conversation about it. Be right back. So I do believe that this conversation was not like an issue of Maddie's. I feel like it was something about Kaylee, because it's almost like she was trying to protect her in some way. Oh, something was going on with Kaylee that was making Maddie uncomfortable, and Kaylee wasn't like speaking up for herself or putting a stop to it or something like that. And it got to the point where Maddie was like, either she said, if you don't say something, I will, or maybe that's what she just thought in her mind, like I need to protect you in some way. Like Maddie's motherly instincts kicked in. And I know that everyone's going to say she was drunk, but I think that she was kind of using that to her advantage in a way that it would allow the situation to unfold. Like if she says something to a third party and that third party says something to someone else, it's getting the ball rolling on being able to kind of address whatever situation it was that was going on with Kaylee. So something was going on with Kaylee. Maddie had said something about it to Adam because she felt like Kaylee was like hesitant to say something or too uncomfortable to say something along those lines. But it's something about communicate, instinct, victory, balance. It's something like somebody had said something to Kaylee that made her uncomfortable, or somebody said something to Kaylee or has been saying something to Kaylee. She kind of like either hinted or said nicely that she wasn't interested and didn't want it, and that wasn't working. If it was likely a romantic advance, but if it wasn't, whatever it was, she just was not interested, and the other person wasn't either taking the hint or taking the literal words. Either way. But instinct is upright. We have balance, communicate, and victory all in reverse. And then we have instinct upright. So there was a lack of balance, there was a lack of communication, and somebody wasn't getting what they wanted, and that caused the instinct of Maddie's to kick in to protect Kaylee. Adam reached out to someone after this conversation happened. It may have been through text, it may have been through Snapchat, it may have been a phone call, it may have been, I'm assuming probably not later when he got home, because that would kind of create a timeline issue, I think, depending on what time he got out. I mean, I guess it could have been, depending on what time Adam left, he either reached out to someone while he was still there or upon getting home. Manifesting an outcome, or manifesting the road that leads to an outcome. Am I blaming Adam? No. But I am saying that Adam knows something. Adam knows, whatever was said to Adam is connected to these murders in some way. It is. Is it Adam's fault? No. Is Adam maybe scared to come forward because he feels like it's his fault? Maybe. Should Adam come forward anyway? Yes, because Adam knows something important to this case that will unlock and lead in the direction of who did this. I'm telling you. So remember I kept saying that it's like one person with a dual personality, or like two sides of their personality. He communicated with two sides of a personality is what I'm seeing here. Like the higher self, lower self, and they're both kind of poking at each other, almost like a sword. Harassed this boy. I'm not saying any of this is his fault. I'm just saying there's probably something that he could say that he hasn't. Maybe something that he's intentionally trying to hide. But whatever was told to him by Maddie about Kaylee, that was caught on video of them talking about a couple hours before the murders that night, that has something to do with what happened. That's what I'm saying. What the conversation about Maddie or about Kaylee was had something to do with like a practical matter. So it could have been work, it could have been plans for moving forward, it could have been, I mean, it could have been simply something like, this isn't in her plans for moving forward, or she plans to do this, so I don't know. Something about practicality or like an earthly element playing a role. We have determination in reverse, so it's like, and also two sides of the personality, both in reverse. And all the cards aren't like that. It's not like they have two on all of them. Well, yeah, see, not all of them. But we keep getting that over and over, that repeating, that two sides, a dual personality, dark and evil, or dark and light. I don't know if I'd go with light. I think that's kind of, one side of this person is dark and one side of this person is numb. So not a great combo. And when that person was triggered, what is going to take over? Pain or numbness? You can't feel numbness. What's going to take over is that pain, that darkness, and that's exactly what happened. So I don't want to say this person had a mental break and was not in control of their decisions, but they were just succumbing to that feeling of not being in control, because they felt so internally out of control that externally, instead of being an adult and addressing that in a different way, they just kind of let it, like, think of it as like the dam burst and the water's like rushing out. This person just kind of grabbed a raft and went downstream with the chaos instead of trying to fight against it. So they weren't really looking ahead. I'm feeling like this person kind of like amped themselves up, but then once they got into the house, they were like, oh my gosh. Like, not that they thought about stopping, but just like, I don't think that they really thought that they were going to actually go all the way through with it until they were in the house kind of preparing, and they were like, oh my gosh, wait, I'm in here. And then that just like amped up their rage. It's almost like if you like, imagine yourself, okay, so the dam bursts and you grab a raft, pretend you're this person, you grab a raft and you're going down with the rush of the flow of the water. It's almost like he like fell asleep. Not, he didn't fall asleep, but like, it's almost as if you were to fall asleep in that situation and then wake up and like, you're like, oh, that wasn't a dream, I'm still in the water. Like, okay. And then you start to react. Like, that's kind of what happened. Not that he like blacked out or anything like that. Not that he's possessed. He's just dark. So there's no excuses that I'm making for his behavior is what I'm saying. No one else picked to do this but him. But it was kind of like he really didn't think he was going to go all the way through with it. And then once he was there, imagine waking up, imagine taking a nap and you wake up and you're on a raft that's going through like really quickly flowing water. You kind of get startled and just like that adrenaline. That's what happened once he got into the house. Two sides of the same image, and we also have triangles, and since this one is in reverse, they're both going the same direction. This is the door. I'm telling you, that's the door of their house. This is him going in the door as a shark. And then we have grow in reverse. And this also kind of looks to me, and I don't, in no means I don't mean to be inappropriate at all, but it kind of looks like if two people were laying in a bed next to each other, because Kaylee and Maddie were in the bed together, it kind of just looks like that to me. Like he went into the house and these were his targets, he probably knew he was going to encounter both of them, is my guess. Especially if he was watching them earlier in the night. If he didn't know, I feel like he knew there was a good possibility of encountering at least both of them. And then we have the Page of Wands, which the page this entire time has represented Kaylee in all of my readings. So now up top, there was the Page of Pentacles in reverse. So there was some kind of practical matter that was being talked about with Adam in terms of whatever Maddie had said. It's like this person had this idea in their mind and everything just came tumbling down. And when everything came tumbling down, they didn't see a way they didn't see a way out. All they saw was blinding rage. And then once they got inside, oh, you know what? This is probably going inside the slider and then going into Ethan and Xana, or going to Ethan and Xana. Likely if Ethan opened the door and then everything like I kind of said before. So this would be going into Ethan and Xana, and then the second door would be the upstairs door, because this should be facing upwards if the card's upright, which points to upstairs, but everything kind of got turned around and not good. So I believe that this is downstairs attacks, and then this is the upstairs attacks, which also goes with Kaylee, but kept a piece of his main target either permanently with him in the way I mentioned in one of my previous videos, which I'm not going to say again, or could have buried it or kept it somewhere. But there's something that has been kept in some way. And there's also something that's in the water that's a big part of this case, and that is the knife. So what Ethan is trying to say here is this person felt like they had no other choice. This person truly in their mind felt like they weren't able to push past it. Push past that overflood of emotions. Worst nightmare coming, maybe not their worst nightmare, but something very inconvenient for them when they were in a very delicate mental state it's like they didn't, something caught them off guard that they didn't see coming or that they were hoping wasn't going to come, such as seeing potential with someone and then getting rejected, for example, or something close to that or along those lines. But the person couldn't see any other way forward. It's like they could do this or they could just go absolutely, well, I mean, this was absolutely crazy, but like in the killer's mind, it was like, if I don't do this, I'm going to go crazy. Xana. The Tower in reverse. So these cards are what they would tell us in reference to this information that was passed along. Maddie's intention was to avoid some kind of disaster. I'll be right back. Okay, so where was I? Maddie was trying to avoid some kind of disaster. So it kind of really lines up with previous readings where I said that she felt off about somebody. She felt nervous about the energy she was getting from somebody in relation to Kaylee. And she was trying to protect her and avoid anything bad happening. So I don't want to say, she had some kind of inkling that she needed to do something in order to protect her friend and herself. Maybe not herself at that time. Maybe she was thinking that. It was more Kaylee, but two peas in a pod. So kind of both. And then Maddie. The Hierophant in reverse. Yeah, she was trying to bring about the change that she felt needed to happen in like an unconventional way. She believed that something was wrong or something was off, and she was trying, maybe she had said to Kaylee, like, you need to say something, or you need to do something, or this or that, or this or that. And Kaylee, for whatever reason, wasn't comfortable doing it or didn't want to do it yet. They could have been waiting for the right time. But hearing like, F it, I'm just going to do it. Or F it, I'm just going to say it. F it, I got to say something. One of them. I'm seeing Maddie in the bathroom. I bet you if we got footage from the bar, Maddie will have been in the bathroom. Probably not alone, but like when she was in the bathroom, she kind of was talking to herself like, should I do it? Should I not? Should I say something? Should I not? And then when she went out, I bet you she saw the opportunity to talk to Adam in that moment and was like, nope, I'm gonna do it now. He's available. He's not doing anything, or he's not talking to anybody. Nobody's around him right now. Nobody's ordering drinks from her right now. Or maybe they made eye contact. I don't know, but I bet you that she will have been in the bathroom, came out, and either made a beeline straight to Adam or shortly after leaving the bathroom talked to Adam, because when she was in the bathroom, she was kind of saying to herself, should I say something? Should I not? Maybe she thought Kaylee might be upset with her for saying something. But either Maddie had said something to Kaylee before, like you need to say something, or you need to tell him to stop, or something like that. Or it could have been that maybe she tried to talk to somebody else about it previously. Like maybe Kaylee was on board, like, yeah, go ahead, say something. I'm not sure. I don't think so. Especially not with the way that she was like, what did you tell? Maybe, I don't know. Either way, but it could have been that maybe she tried to say something to somebody else before, and that person just was like, okay, maybe wasn't listening and didn't tell the other person, like was kind of the purpose of it. Or maybe they tried to talk directly to the person that it was about before, and the conversation just didn't produce any results, or the person just kept saying or doing something anyway that they were being asked not to. I don't know. It's one of that. And this kind of gives me creepy guy watching at the bar vibes too. So having a gun in his hand, which would kind of be like concealing the knife. How I said that the killer was with someone else, probably accidentally, like someone either came up and talked to them, or he ran into someone while he had that knife on his person before he did this. Likely it was concealed, but that kind of really points back to that. Okay, let's start with the foreground, which we have the Queen of Pentacles, King of Cups, and Ten of Wands. So there is an emotional connection to the picture that's being painted in the foreground of this. Like a not just random act. There's some kind of deeper meaning behind what made this happen. And that's really what's being focused on in the foreground. The Queen of Pentacles is really pointing towards like the focus being on one of the girls, one of the two girls, not Xana, the focus being on Maddie or Kaylee as being the target. And then we have the Ten of Wands, which is about carrying a heavy burden. So something that one of these girls was dealing with is the cause of this happening, not blaming them. It's not one that they just picked up and they're like, oh, let me carry this heavy burden. This is something that kind of had been building up or worsening or increasing in tension for some time. I'm just going to say it. So these cards are making me feel like the death of the one roommate that was a suicide that happened a while back. I do feel like, since this is the background information, I do feel like that is being particularly looked into right now. Not so much in terms of, how do I say this? I feel like it's being looked into not as like a connection, not like that caused this or anything like that. But they're looking at it in some way that's like, this isn't a full coincidence. Like there's something ongoing occurring that's causing these bad things to happen. But in the background, they are looking into what is the environment that these things are brewing in. What kind of people are around that are contributing to this environment that's maybe not causing bad things to happen, but like these bad things are happening in this environment. So it's being looked into in some way. There's like a sense of doing things that are maybe being done for stimulation or like to cure boredom, I guess you could say. So I believe that they are looking into the role that drugs are playing in the environment and in the events possibly surrounding the murder. I'm saying, I'm feeling like they're trying to look into, Queen of Wands came out. So they're looking into the killer and what, like, they believe that the killer did drugs or was on drugs at this time, or sells or has some kind of connection. Yeah. Okay, so it downpouring outside right now is what it's saying in my mind is that They're looking into the heavy drug. I hope you can hear that on the camera when I play this back, because it just got crazy when I started saying that. They're looking into the town and community in general and the drug use that's going on around the community. Because it's very prevalent, like a downpour, almost like they discovered something and then it just opened the door to like discovering a bunch of other things. So I believe that in the background, the police and investigators are really looking into the killer being connected to the drug community. I do believe, excuse me, I do believe that on the killer's end of things, in the background, drugs are involved. On the killer's end. Money. Royalty. So, oh wait, I meant to pull from this side too. Let me see what we get. Pull one more. Timeline issue. You know what it might be? Timeline issue, royalty, and money. Oh, I don't know if I should say this because I don't want it to mess anything up in the investigation. Okay, so I feel like in the background, they're looking into the possibility that the person who did this is a drug dealer or a drug runner. And maybe they're using, hey, I know that you did like going to people who could potentially be witnesses for the whereabouts of the killer that night. It's possible that they're going to these people and saying like, hey, we know you bought drugs or something, but we need to know what time you met with this person. You're not going to get in trouble, but we're trying to put an alibi together for this person, or trying to check an alibi. I feel like something like that is going on in the background right now. It's like they're trying to maybe they're trying to prove that he wasn't with his phone. How I said that I feel like he left his phone somewhere. That could be it. Or they could just be trying to poke holes in someone's whereabouts so that they kind of back them into a corner. Like, oh, you saw this person at this time and this person at this time. So in the center, obviously we know that something took a bad turn and there was, you know, something bad happened. In the center of this, though, is the Lover's card. So while that's not always just about romance and love, it's also about choice, especially with the Two of Pentacles, which is also about choices and kind of weighing multiple things at once. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So it's like this person wasn't chosen and it caused everything to take a bad turn. Not on this particular card, so it's like this person wanted to be the savior. So Page of Cups reverse is really saying to me that even though the girls were drunk that night, it wasn't that they were unaware. This is like really confirmation of that to me. Like their spidey senses were telling them, you know, something's not right or someone's not right. But this card is making me feel like when met face to face with this person, they never could have seen it coming, but if it was going to come from anyone that night, they weren't surprised that it was him. I guess you could put it that way. Again, they couldn't have seen this coming. Never in a million years. But like, because it happened and when they were face to face with this person, they were not shocked. Like that it was this person. They were shocked it was happening, but if it was going to be happening anyway, And it had to be someone. That's what I'm saying. The world in reverse is making me feel like they really thought that they had handled the situation, or that the situation was over. There wasn't going to be any continued problems from it, or just maybe that they, yeah, no, that's what I'm getting. They didn't, it has something to do with that conversation with Adam. Because temperance is about like kind of rising above the situation. Like, it has something to do with that conversation. Because the girls, with the world reversed, the girls thought, okay, that's going to be in the past now. We can move past it now. The Page of Cups is kind of about the spilling out of whatever Maddie was holding inside internally that she had said to Adam. That spilled out about Kaylee, because the page has been representing Kaylee. So Maddie spilled out whatever she spilled out about Kaylee. And from that, they thought this situation was going to be past them. They thought they figured out a way to rise above the situation. And then that's what's being seen. Which, wow, which really is very telling, because that video just came out of the girls having that conversation. I know the parents have had it for a while, but like it just came out to the public. So in terms of seen, I feel like that is what's being seen right now. That's what's being literally seen and really focused on. And that's kind of the turning point in this. I'm telling you that. And maybe it was that Adam didn't even realize that information was the catalyst in this. But he knows now. I know he's been cleared. I know he's been looked into. But and I'm not saying that he intentionally did anything in terms of being malicious with the information, but that information is a key in this. That's what I'm saying. My opinion, but a very strong opinion. But somebody feels either hesitant to make that first move, or they're just trying to really make sure that they have all of their ducks in a row, all of their I's dotted, T's crossed, before justice takes that next step forward. This is what's unseen, and it really is. It's like I do feel like they either know who it, I feel like they know who it is, and they're either making sure they get enough information to make sure that there's 100% a conviction, because of the bridges that it would burn if that person was to go to trial and not get convicted. Because then whoever has that power can kind of use it against them. Like, oh, look, you didn't get a conviction. Like, and you ruined my name because of this, or blah, 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 blah. That, or it's possible that maybe they do have everything pretty much, but maybe they're waiting until, okay, for some reason these cards are giving me the image of buying time. It could be possible that that motherly figure is planning on giving them something, or turning the person in after the holidays. There's a connection from the killer to somebody else, And severing that line, like once the killer is named, it's going to put that killer's connection into a very bad light, especially because how everything kind of unfolded and how everyone's saying, you know, if you're this person's parent, it should be obvious. Like, why are you not turning them in? Kind of that. Well, once they are turned in, they're going to be experiencing that. Like, how did you not know? Why would you not turn them in? Why did you make the whole country go absolutely, like, so devastated over this for so long? Like, why would you not turn this person in? They're going to feel all of that. I almost feel like they're buying time until after the holidays. I did say in my other reading that I felt like there's a feminine energy that's going to turn on the killer eventually. If it's not a mom, it's another feminine energy. They're buying time. I believe that the killer's mom is going to turn them in, but the dad is not on board with doing that. When justice is served, it's going to be because someone in the person's family turns them in, and they're buying time right now before that happens. So my last reading, I said that I believe that the killer's mom is getting close to turning on them, and this paints that same picture. He's scared of the changes that he feels are coming. Something about the dynamic of the family being off, or he can pick up on the energy, something's changed within the family. And then this Empress in reverse, he feels blocked from the connection with his mother right now. Fire for the Empress. So we have that he's fearing change, that either he's fearing changes that he sees happening in the investigation, or he's fearing the changes that he feels are happening in his family dynamic due to the lack of connection that he's feeling with his mother. Or maybe he straight out knows that she's slowly kind of turning against protecting him, something like that. Like, there's something that has really switched in this motherly role, and the way that he's relating to his mother. My mom actually just texted me, so that's kind of a little confirmation, I guess you could say. And then we have the Ten of Cups in reverse, which is another confirmation that's telling us that something is off energy-wise in terms of his family. And then we have the Star in reverse, which is either he thought, okay, I'm getting far enough away from this, and now he doesn't, or he just feels hopelessly lost knowing that kind of the walls are closing in on him, something along those lines. But the Two of Wands is about the choice that he knows that his mother, because it's a clarifier for the mother in reverse, he knows that his mom is kind of weighing an option, weighing, should I do this, should I not, what should I say, what should I not say, something along those lines. Whatever favor he was getting as like some kind of protection is starting to shift and change because of that feminine energy figure, which is likely his mom, but could be another aunt or sister, I think mom, but that person is making the choice, realizing that she can't protect him anymore. It's causing him to be very fearful and kind of lose faith that he's going to be able to get out of this situation. The walls are starting to close in on him. So whatever protection or favor he had is starting to kind of shift, and he's not going to have it for much longer. And then, like, this card would be like, if that didn't matter anymore, because the mom is going to give information that's going to make it impossible to ignore what happened. There's going to be plausible deniability that they didn't know anything. Why do I feel like they're going to say they found out on Christmas or something along those lines? Like family time, gathering, they could say, oh, we didn't know till then, found out then, turned them in right away. Because that would fulfill them wanting to wait till after the holidays. That would fulfill them buying a little bit of time. And that would be a good excuse. Well, how do you know now? Oh, well, we were all together for Christmas and we pieced it together. Or whatever holiday they celebrate. And it says, possible to avert evil. So it's like the mom's taking one route and the dad's taking another route. The dad still wants to protect the son, and the mom is like being pushed into a corner, backed into a corner. Because the dad has that like, it's us against the world now attitude. And the mom is like, the world is watching and they're not dumb. So they're starting to piece it together. And she just wants to get ahead of it. The Moon and the Knight of Swords. Somebody was being very aggressive with the way that they were talking to her, in terms of either saying, I'm going to tell people this, or it could be something like, you know, everybody thinks of this of you or that of you. It's something along those lines was coming from somewhere. And the girl who passed away, the roommate who passed away, she was not telling everyone what's going on, or she was not telling everyone everything that was going on. But even if people knew that she was being bullied or something, they didn't know the half of it. Like, it was much worse than she was letting on. She was keeping a lot of it to herself. But it was getting worse. Something had been causing it to get worse. Hold on. Queen of Wands. Yeah, there's something that she didn't want people to know. There's something that she didn't want people to know about. And somebody was like teasing that they were going to expose it. It could have been just like an insecurity that somebody was like leaning into to try and hurt her feelings. Or it could have been like, oh, I'm going to tell everybody about this. Everybody already thinks this of you. Wait till I tell them this. Or if you don't do this, or if you do this, or if you don't say this, or something. Seven of Wands in reverse. She saw something that she wasn't supposed to see. Yeah, my eyes are trying to get watery. The roommate who unalived herself saw something that she wasn't supposed to see. And somebody was like very aggressively turning up the notch of bullying her, using something that she didn't want other people to know. It wasn't like something that she did bad. Like, she walked in on something that wasn't good. Something that she wasn't supposed to see. And whoever the main person that was bullying her, their way of trying to get her to not say anything to other people about what she had seen was to be like, I'm going to tell everybody this, or I'm going to say this about you, and everyone's going to believe me because blah, blah, blah. So essentially, the bullying was amped up in the 2 weeks. Did I say 2 weeks? 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, 2 weeks prior to when she passed away. The bullying had been amped up because she walked in and saw something that she wasn't supposed to see, and somebody was like a mental warfare, like trying to weaken her mindset so that she wouldn't say anything to other people about what she had seen, because then whoever was bullying her was going to tell people something about her. Whether that was true or not, that's what was going on. My opinion. And all of a sudden just dumping it on your head. Like, that's what was happening. And it was all because she walked in on something that she wasn't supposed to see. Like, she was, the roommate who passed away was like the fly on the wall. but there was a lot that was hidden from her, knowing that she was the fly on the wall. Like when whatever this was that she walked in on, she was not expecting it. Like, it was something that really shook her. And that's why it was such a big deal. Because she knew about some little things, but this was kept very secret from her, whatever this was. And she walked in on it, and I don't know if she had someone that was like watching over her. For some reason, the person who was bullying her knew that they couldn't do anything to her. Blonde woman. Unreliable, changeable, outrage, more, expansion, growth. This is someone that either looks like a friend from the outside, or was supposed to be a friend, or was in the position where they were supposed to be at least friendly, but they weren't. And this is someone who their persona changes or changed based off of who they were around. So this person may have been more nice to her in private and then bullied her or was passive aggressive with her when around other people. But the roommate who passed away definitely saw this change in energy in that person. Like, she kind of came to expect that, oh, if I see this person and she's alone, this blonde woman, if I see this blonde woman and she's alone, she'll be nice to me. But if I see her around her friends, she's gonna act like I'm a nerd or annoying or something like that. Like, her personality was very, it's almost like a friend out of convenience. Like, if she needed a friend, she would go to the roommate that passed away, but like, if anyone else was around, she had to put on a face of being that passive aggressive or even outright aggressive persona towards her. Oh, so then when she walked in on something, she stopped being nice to her when it was just them two. That flipped, that switched. It was that, so essentially like a mean girl personality when other people were around, but like an undercover nice girl, or like friendly-ish at least when nobody else was around. But after she walked in and saw whatever she saw, that mean girl attitude was through and through, like on both sides. Even when they were alone, she was a mean girl after that. Clarifier for the blonde woman card. Brown-haired boy. Resignation from obstacles or events and flattery. It's a really creepy looking jack. Brown-haired boy. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Queen of Cups in reverse. Five of Cups. Oh, my opinion. Let's just say the roommate who passed away walked in on a blonde girl and a brown-haired guy doing something that they should not be doing. Something illegal, something immoral, whatever, I don't know. So this brown-haired boy and this blonde woman are in a room doing something they shouldn't be doing. The roommate who passed away walks in, sees that, and then that bullying ensues to try and get her to keep her mouth shut. So the bullying ensues to try and get her to keep her mouth shut, because the only other person that would know about that would be that blonde woman. It might still be that passion, but it may be passion in a different way than romance. I guess we would need to know what the girl walked in on. What did she see? What can we know about what she saw? Ten of Pentacles. King of Swords. That's the connection. King of Swords. The girl who passed away, my opinion, allegedly, the girl who took her own life walked in on a blonde woman and a brown-haired boy doing something related to money, like the root of how do I say this? She saw the root of some kind of operation. Like she saw something in action happening. Dire misfortune and fierce enemies. She made an enemy from walking into that room. Which would lead me to believe it's less about that person feeling bad and more about that person having something to lose and not wanting this information to get out. It makes me feel like the killer, in his mind, felt like he was protecting whoever his connection is. Whoever has that power or authority or whatever it is that's protecting him now, he convinced himself that he was protecting them by making sure that nothing could come back to him from that girl's suicide. Huh. It's like bringing an end to a mental torment. So if Maddie were to tell Adam everything, and that everything actually pertained to what led to that roommate taking her own life, and that got back to the killer, he would need to silence that person in order to protect his name and reputation. Maybe it had been on the girl's mind bothering them because it's nearing the anniversary, or was the anniversary, or was near the anniversary of it happening. So prior to the attacks, I would say that the downstairs roommates, is it possible they had gotten some kind of word about whatever Maddie had said? Okay, this is my opinion. The people that are not talking, that we feel like, why aren't they talking? They should be saying something. They're protecting themselves from whatever it is that this roommate initially walked in on. I'm not necessarily saying that they have information on the murders, but I'm saying that the people who are being oddly quiet are being that way because they're in some way involved or related to or could go down from whatever it is that this roommate walked in on and saw that initially caused the increase in bullying that led to her taking her own life. So the Ace of Cups is flowing emotions. Crying, freaking out. Maybe not upset, maybe scared, but there was an outpouring of emotions that just happened to be taking place while these murders were taking place upstairs in the same house. Take from that what you will. The Six of Pentacles in reverse is about a debt. A one-sided, you owe me, or, which is what I said that the killer's mom was, her attitude was. Like a you owe me attitude. And the Six of Pentacles also brings in the element of a power dynamic. So somehow this person had power over those downstairs roommates. Dirt on them, a threat, exposing them in some way. I guess it could be like literally silencing them somehow, but I'm feeling like it's more like something that could be used against them in some way if they were to talk. There's like a weird code of silence that goes on in this area. And then the Wheel of Fortune is about things taking a bad turn. So I understand that a lot of you are going to say, but they're cleared, they're cleared. And from the very beginning, I said that I believe the roommates heard something, and this, for me, confirms it. Maybe they didn't know that the people upstairs were being stabbed. Maybe. Maybe they didn't, maybe they did. I don't know. But they knew that there was something going on that was related to the girl who had taken her own life happening in that house. You can't convince me otherwise. My opinion. Allegedly, my opinion, all that, blah, blah, blah. But that's what I think. And if they had heard something and then went to bed, it leads me to believe that they felt like they were not going to be part of whatever happened. They were not on the receiving end of that debt that was being paid out. Yeah, there was one target. The roommates only thought that one person was going to be taught a lesson. Knight of Cups in reverse. Yeah. Allegedly, my opinion, I believe the roommates had some kind of heads up or something that somebody was going to talk to, but it's relating to whatever was said that night, and whatever was said that night is relating to the girl that passed away and what she walked in on. And it just set off that person because it could either ruin their reputation, ruin their future, ruin the reputation of that person, whoever it is they're connected to. I guess we can go with the obvious question. Does drugs have anything to do with what the roommate walked in on? Nine of Wands in reverse. That's the struggle. Five of Pentacles. Yeah, it was threatening somebody's money that they were making. It's money that somebody was making. See, these cards aren't saying it's definitely drugs to me. But there's some element of making money that would be threatened if the roommate who passed away, if she had told somebody what she saw. Is that probably drug related. Probably at least partially, if not more so. But there is other options it could be as well. But whatever it was something that was bringing in money for the people that were involved in it. Likely in a way that wasn't something that they necessarily wanted to brag about. Something like on the down low, something hush hush. And the cups, one cup is pouring into the other cup. It's like one event overflowed and poured into this event. So if this wasn't straight up about romance, it's still passion, but it's a different type of passion. And while there still may have been a romantic interest there, what if Maddie said something like, so-and-so keeps trying to make moves on Kaylee, but Kaylee blames him for, I don't know, Whatever was said to Adam isn't anything about romance. It's something about that girl that passed away and whatever she walked in and saw. And that's why it was like immediate reaction and the person going over to the house, because they couldn't risk that conversation widening about whatever that is. There's something that they have to lose themselves, and there's something that their connection or protector could also be affected by. They're realizing that there's an underlying hostility that has been built up since that girl's passing, and they're trying to figure out how that plays into this. And it plays in because that was what that conversation with Adam was about. And okay, so now it may not have been that Adam talked to the killer directly. Maybe Adam said something to someone else that said something to the killer, because this wasn't like, oh, so-and-so wants to break up with you, or so-and-so's not interested. It wasn't like that. That kind of wasn't making sense to me before. Like, why would that be such a big deal? But if it's something that has to do with this girl's suicide and what led up to that, that's something that would be kind of talked about and spread very quickly. What is the killer's connection to the roommate who took her life? The world. That's the missing piece of this all. That's the connection. And it's a snake wrapped around an egg. So, like, snake would be the evil and the egg would be, like, the birth of the element that we weren't really looking into as a connection in a way. Clarifier for that. Justice in reverse. Six of Wands. Justice in reverse is where we are right now, with there's no justice, but there's a connection. And then Six of Wands in reverse is about not wanting this information to get out and not wanting it to spread, and that being the cause of this. All of this is my opinion. It's reading of the energy and how I'm interpreting it. These are not facts. This is my opinion. I believe that the girl who passed away, that was the roommate, walked in on something she was not supposed to see, began getting increasingly bullied because of it so that she would stay silent. Either so she would stay silent or so she would make herself look like her credibility was lacking in some way. Like, oh, look, she's crazy. She doesn't know what she's talking about, that kind of thing. And whatever Maddie had said that night had something to do with information about that. Maybe because of the anniversary of it being near. And that information somehow got back to the person who was walked in on by the roommate. And that person realized that the only way to stop this information from continuing to spread would be from silencing the person or people who were currently spreading the information, which that night would have been Maddie. I really still do feel like it was about Kaylee, so it was either something Kaylee was told or something she was involved in personally. Drugs may be an important factor in the case. Last one. Killer profile indicates narcissist or sociopath.